The closer American forces got to the home islands, the more savage and fanatical the Japanese became. American sailors now faced enemy pilots determined to die for their emperor. Although the kamikaze was not new to this war, the swarms of suicide planes sent against American ships in the waters around Okinawa made this the bloodiest campaign for the Navy during World War II. The chilling statistics tell it all. Even though more than 3,500 kamikazes were shot down, too many still managed to find their targets. 36 ships lost, over 350 damaged, 10,000 American sailors killed or wounded. 1 out of every 7 naval casualties of the war occurred during the battle for Okinawa. If this was Okinawa's price, the impending invasion of Japan itself was becoming too horrific to contemplate.
Even as American forces overcame the last resistance on Okinawa, that dreaded invasion seemed inevitable. War planners estimated that perhaps 1 million American casualties could be expected. How many Japanese might die was unknowable. Nevertheless, there would be no turning back. The invasion force was already underway. Navy nurse Madge Crouch, assigned to the hospital ship Benevolence, recalls her ship's mission.
We put into Inuitak because that was where the ships were rendezvousing to do the invasion. And that was quite a sight because everywhere you looked, you could see just hundreds of ships gathering there. And we were advised at that point that we were preparing for the invasion. So from there on in, we were really focused on what we could anticipate if we were part of that invasion. And when we left Inuitak, we very shortly joined the Third Fleet and sailed with them off the coast of Japan some distance. And because we were required to be lighted, we had to move away from the fleet at night and come back to them and serve as a hospital for patients that needed care. We had such a vision of what we could anticipate if we did the invasion of Japan. We had been advised what a terrible thing this was going to be. And to be thought about putting ashore there wasn't anything you really relished, but of course you accepted it if that's what they had in mind for you, and we were supposed to feel very pleased we had been selected. Fortunately, that never came about, so to this day, I'm grateful we didn't really have to do that.
But the 2 atomic bombs changed everything in an instant. American troops would not have to assault Japanese beaches. They would arrive in Japan not as warriors, but as occupiers. Within days of Japan's capitulation, word spread throughout prisoner of war camps.
Japanese radio had been blaring, you know, and then something happened. Everything went quiet, and then all these guards were standing around listening to this radio. And so we figured, you know, it's serious business. And we knew a little bit of Japanese, but we couldn't understand any of this. And evidently it was a higher type Japanese that was being spoken. And we later heard that we thought it was the emperor or one of his henchmen made the speech that the war was over.
Dr. Ferdinand Burley, a POW since the fall of Corregidor in May 1942, was contemplating the theft of some corn when he sensed the prison guards were distracted.
The guards had a bunch of corn growing up in front of them. I had my eye on one of those beautiful pieces of corn that was growing, and I was going to get the thing. And they were sitting there listening to this speech coming over the radio, and their heads were hanging down like this, and they were listening very carefully to this long speech that was going on. And I snuck in there and cut one of those ears of corn and snuck out. A day or so later that Dr. Ohashi, who was the commanding officer of the hospital, called us together, and we lined up, and he gave us a little talk.
I'll never forget those words. He said, "The war is now over." And we thought, hey, that's great, you know. And he said, there are 3 reasons. He said, number 1, he said, the The emperor has ordered all countries to cease fighting. Well, we kind of snickered at that, you know, sure, he's ordering. And number two, he said, the Americans have invented some kind of atomic bomb. Well, we didn't know anything about that. And he said, number three, we have no more Navy. Well, then we really blasted out. That was great. We have no more Navy.
Well, we woke up one morning and they were all gone. They left the camp. All the guards, all the people in charge had all gone and left. So we kind of got up and didn't do anything except wondering what had happened. We were afraid to go outside, afraid he might be shot. But we just stayed in the building. And then they come over and started dropping pamphlets to us. Told us that the Japanese had surrendered.
Time was of the essence. Having already survived 3 years of captivity, hundreds were now dying every day. Liberation and repatriation would take a back seat while the race was on to get food and medicine to the men scattered in camps from Manchuria to Formosa, Korea to Japan. To facilitate this desperate mission of mercy, Allied officials ordered the Japanese to mark barracks roofs and adjacent open fields near the camps with PW. From the bomb bays of B-29s and from C-47s and other aircraft, fuel drums packed with food, candy, medicine, and even newspapers and magazines were parachuted into the camps, sometimes with unintended consequences.
If you put a PW or POW on the roof with parachutes or painted or whatever, then these planes would drop stuff. This one time the aircraft, I guess they were fighter planes, came over. They were flying and they were just dusting the treetops. And they were dropping magazines, rolled magazines, and those damn things would hit the ground and bounce 30 feet or more up in the air. And hey, get out of here! This is a bomb, you know. You get killed. And they even dropped bottles of whiskey. Well, those things broke, you know. But and they thought we wanted magazines, you know, and we didn't want any news. We wanted food. And then the B-29s started dropping food. But they had them in these metal barrels. They'd weld two 55-gallon drums of together, and then they'd fill them with canned goods or whatever, and then they'd come down with a parachute, and a lot of them would break loose from that doggone parachute and would come hurtling down, and it'd just knock a house, Japanese house, just knock it all to pieces, and then these drums would burst open, and so would the cans, and there'd be fruit cocktail all over town, you know.
We called it bombing with kindness. It was a hellish bombing. Some people thought they could dodge them, which we did. Our veterinary officer, Stud Orson, Captain Orson, had one leg driven into the ground. Imagine surviving this far and then having a 55-gallon drum with supplies break your leg.
In his camp, Rosen and the other survivors celebrated their impending liberation with spontaneous and emotional displays of patriotism.
Cargo chutes were red, white, and blue cargo chutes. Well, the first thing we did was haul down that Japanese flag. And we had a medical corpsman, Army medical corpsman, can't think of his name right now, from New Mexico, and he could sew. So he had up a detail. Those who could sew sewed this huge American flag, probably the biggest one you've ever seen. Those of us who couldn't sew were put to work cutting out stars. So I was one who was put to work cutting out stars. We raised the biggest American flag you've ever seen. And we had the Japanese standing up, present arms, while we did the same.